5 million hectares, involving these 1,200,000 families in voluntary efforts to restore their environment. In fact, if you look out over the region today, flying over on an airplane, you see what was a totally decimated landscape covered with farmlands with regenerated trees. And this process was actually the natural regeneration of very useful trees in the farmlands where millet and sorghum is being grown. The green on this slide is farmlands with millet and sorghum production, but with a medium to high density of anywhere from 50 to 150 trees now regenerated per hectare. This has become such a model for the drylands of Africa that the African Union has now proposed to adapt and to extend this to all farm families and all villages in the drylands across the continent. And that is beginning to happen, where the area that I was just describing here in Niger has now seen green spots of adaptation and adoption of this model of farmer-managed and village-managed assisted natural regeneration occurring in other parts of Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, Senegal, and other countries in the Horn of Africa. This is truly building on a grassroots approach, building on technologies and practices that are so inexpensive, in fact free, that farmers have been able to adopt them on a mass scale. And that's not only true for the Western and Eastern African countries, but also in Southern Africa as well. We've just surveyed, over the past 2 years, the adoption of farmer-managed natural regeneration of trees on the maize farmlands across Malawi. And what we find, even in that small country, is that there are over 1 million hectares, 1 million farmers now practicing the regeneration of trees on their farmlands for agricultural restoration, more biomass and fertility for the soils, more fodder for livestock, fuel wood for the household, and timber and fruits for the family. And so here in Southern Africa, we also have a big success across an entire country that provides us inspiration for the further replication of Landcare approaches. Tanzania also has an excellent example, and this deals with the rangelands, which are quite vast in that country. In the northwestern part of the country, in Shinyanga, Tanzania, again, severe desertification had set in during the 1970s and 1980s. But working together through local efforts at the grassroots during the 1990s, over 1,000 villages eventually became involved in a program that has featured community-based regeneration of woodlands and rangelands for livestock and crop production. This program was so successful that it was awarded the UNDP Equator Prize early in the new millennium to provide more examples of this kind of an approach that could be adapted elsewhere. Ethiopia is a vast country that has experienced tremendous desertification and land degradation, but Ethiopia has committed itself, as I mentioned earlier, to restoring 15 million hectares of degraded land over the next decade and a half. Ethiopia is applying the concepts of assisted natural regeneration of trees in their rangelands, their degraded watersheds, on a vast scale, and in fact have seen enormous progress already. In fact, recent studies of the condition of the watersheds of Ethiopia have shown that the landscapes are greener now than they were 150 years ago. A very, very significant development, and Ethiopia is building on that to accelerate those processes. There is, in fact, a crisis of land fertility